Harley-Davidson sells you a $30,000 costume and a dream that usually ends on the back of a tow truck. They call it tradition, but we call it 1940s engineering that leaks oil and vibrates your teeth loose. While the Harley guys are waiting for expensive repairs on their failing compensators, riders of Japanese bikes are already 200 miles down the road. Today, we expose 10 Japanese machines that offer pure reliability for half the price. It is time to stop paying for the logo and start paying for the endless ride. Number 10, the Honda Rebel 1100. The battle starts with Honda's direct assault on Harley Street Bob. In 2021, Honda released the Rebel 1100. It features a low seat height, blacked out styling, and a massive liquid-cooled V-twin. Harley charges $15,999 for their Street Bob. Honda asks $9,499 for the Rebel. That is a $6,500 savings before you start the engine. The engine architecture tells the entire story. The Harley Street Bob utilizes a 1,746cc air-cooled Milwaukee 8 V-twin. It produces 92 horsepower and 98 foot-pounds of torque. The engine mounts solidly to the frame using rubber isolators. Those rubber mounts compress and degrade over time. They require replacement every 30,000 miles at $300 per mount. The air-cooled engine overheats in stop-and-go traffic. The aluminum cylinder heads expand when hot. This warps the head gasket surface. Oil seeps from the head gaskets. Harley riders call this marking your territory. Honda owners call it poor engineering. The Honda Rebel 1100 utilizes a 1,084cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine borrowed directly from the Africa Twin Adventure bike. It produces 87 horsepower and 72 foot-pounds of torque. Those numbers seem lower than the Harley, but the Rebel weighs 487 pounds. The Street Bob weighs 658 pounds. The Honda delivers a superior power-to-weight ratio. The liquid-cooled engine maintains perfect operating temperature. The water pump circulates coolant. But here's the crushing blow. The Rebel 1100 uses a timing chain. The Harley Milwaukee 8 uses cam chain tensioners that fail catastrophically between 20 and 40,000 miles. The repair costs $4,000 because the engine must be split open. Honda's chain tensioners are hydraulic and bulletproof. They last the life of the engine. A lightweight V-twin destroys Harley's entry-level model. But what happens when you target their middleweight cruiser? The next machine embarrasses the Softail standard. Number 9, the Kawasaki Vulcan S. In 2015, Kawasaki decided to build a cruiser for actual human beings. They created the Vulcan S with adjustable ergonomics. Harley charges $15,249 for their Softail standard. Kawasaki asks $7,349 for the Vulcan S. That is a $7,900 savings. The Harley Softail utilizes the same 1,746cc Milwaukee 8 engine. It produces 92 horsepower. The engine mounts to a hidden rear shock system that Harley calls the Softail frame. This frame mimics the look of a rigid hardtail while providing suspension. The engineering is clever but heavy. The entire motorcycle weighs 650 pounds. But the true genius of the Vulcan S is the ErgoFit system. Kawasaki offers 3 different seat heights, multiple handlebar positions, and adjustable foot peg locations. You can configure the Vulcan to fit a 5-foot rider or a 6'5" rider. The Harley offers one size. If it does not fit, you buy expensive aftermarket parts. The Vulcan S engine is a technological marvel compared to Harley's ancient design. It uses double overhead cams with 4 valves per cylinder. This creates efficient airflow. The engine produces more power per cubic centimeter than the Milwaukee 8. The liquid cooling allows tighter piston to cylinder clearances. This reduces blow-by and oil consumption. The Vulcan burns 1 quart of oil every 10,000 miles. The Harley burns 1 quart every 3,000 miles. That is not a leak. That is designed oil consumption because air-cooled engines run hotter. The Vulcan uses a modern fuel injection system with long-life throttle bodies. The Harley uses fuel injection with problematic throttle position sensors that fail and require replacement at $400 each. The Kawasaki throttle bodies are sealed units that never fail. Maintenance costs destroy Harley owners. The Vulcan S requires oil changes every 7,500 miles. The Harley requires oil changes every 5,000 miles with expensive synthetic oil. The Vulcan uses standard engine oil. A Vulcan oil change costs $40. A Harley oil change costs $120 because you must change the engine oil. The primary oil and the transmission oil separately. The Vulcan has one oil reservoir. Simple, efficient, Japanese, a middleweight. Parallel twin humiliates Harley's most popular model. But Japanese manufacturers did not stop there. The next machine targets Harley's premium touring segment. Are you riding a modern bike that bleeds your bank account dry? Hit the subscribe button right now. Join the garage and learn the truth about motorcycle value. We have 8 more Japanese destroyers to expose. Number 8. The Honda Goldwing. Harley-Davidson sells their Road Glide Limited for $31,249. It is their flagship touring machine. Honda sells the Goldwing for $25,700. That is a $5,549 savings for a motorcycle that destroys the Harley in every measurable category. The Harley Road Glide utilizes the Milwaukee 8 114 motor. This is a 1,868 cc air-cooled V-twin, producing 105 horsepower and 126 foot-pounds of torque. The engine mounts to a touring chassis weighing 842 pounds, fully loaded. The frame-mounted fairing creates wind resistance. The top speed is 110 miles per hour. The handling is sluggish. The suspension is soft and wallows through corners. The Honda Goldwing uses a 1,833 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled flat-six engine. It produces 126 horsepower and 125 foot-pounds of torque. The Goldwing weighs 838 pounds. It is 4 pounds lighter than the Harley, despite having more power, better suspension, and superior technology. The flat-six engine is a mechanical masterpiece. The 6 cylinders are horizontally opposed. This creates perfect primary and secondary balance. The engine produces 0 vibration. You can balance a coin on the cylinder head at idle. The Harley vibrates so violently that the mirrors blur at highway speeds. The Goldwing features a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission with automatic or manual modes. You can shift manually using buttons on the handlebar or let the computer shift for you. The transmission is seamless. The shifts are imperceptible. The Harley uses a 6-speed manual transmission with a heavy clutch pull. After 300 miles of riding, your left hand aches from pulling that clutch in stop-and-go traffic. The Goldwing suspension is electronically adjustable. You press a button to change the preload, compression, and rebound damping. The system automatically adjusts suspension based on rider weight, passenger weight, and luggage weight. The Harley suspension uses mechanical adjusters. You need tools to change the settings. Most riders never adjust anything. They suffer with poor suspension tuning. But here's where Honda embarrasses Harley-Davidson. The Goldwing includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration. You connect your phone and access navigation, music, and phone calls through the massive color touchscreen. The Harley requires a $1,500 boombox GTS infotainment system that is already outdated. It lacks smartphone integration. It uses a proprietary system that is slow and frustrating. A flat-six touring machine crushes Harley's premium model. But what about Harley's performance cruisers? The next bike targets the Street Glide Special with devastating results. Number 7. The Yamaha Star Eluder. Yamaha Star Eluder sells for $20,699. The Harley Street Glide Special costs $29,349. That is an $8,650 difference for bikes in the same segment. The Street Glide Special uses the Milwaukee 8 114 motor producing 105 horsepower. The motorcycle weighs 796 pounds. The fairing is frame-mounted. The engine uses air cooling with oil cooling on the cylinder heads. In theory, this improves cooling. In practice, the engine still overheats in traffic. The primary chain tensioner fails. The cam chain tensioner fails. The compensator sprocket fails. These are known issues. Harley refuses to fix them. They issue service bulletins and charge customers for repairs. The Yamaha Star Eluder uses a 1,854 cc air-cooled V-twin, producing 106 horsepower and 126 foot-pounds of torque. The motorcycle weighs 844 pounds. Those specifications seem similar to the Harley, but the engineering execution is vastly superior. Yamaha utilizes a pushrod V-twin design similar to Harley, but Yamaha engineers properly design the oiling system. The Yamaha engine uses a dry sump lubrication system with an external oil tank. Oil circulates constantly through the engine. The oil pump is oversized. The oil passages are large. The bearings receive constant lubrication. The Harley uses a compromised oiling system. The oil pump is undersized. The cam bearings receive insufficient oil flow at idle. This causes premature wear. The 𝐿Euter transmission is a sealed 6-speed unit. You change the oil every 15,000 miles. The Harley transmission requires oil changes every 5,000 miles with expensive synthetic lubricant. Total cost of ownership destroys Harley riders. The 𝐿Euter requires minimal maintenance. Oil changes, tire changes, brake pads. That is it. The engine never needs internal work. The Harley requires constant repairs. Compensator replacement at 20,000 miles. Cam chain tensioner replacement at 30,000 miles. Clutch replacement at 40,000 miles. Every repair costs thousands of dollars. A Japanese V-twin bagger humiliates Harley's premium bagger. But what about Harley's Sportster line? The next motorcycle targets the Iron 8 8.3 with surgical precision. Number 6. The Kawasaki Z900 RS. The Kawasaki Z900 RS is not a traditional cruiser. It is a retro standard with a forward stance, but it competes directly with Harley's Sportster line in price and performance. The Iron 8 8.3 costs $9,999. The Z900 RS costs $11,499. That is $1,500 more. But the performance gap is so massive that the Kawasaki embarrasses the Harley. The Kawasaki Z900 RS uses a 948cc liquid-cooled inline-4 producing 111 horsepower and 73 foot-pounds of torque. The motorcycle weighs 479 pounds. That is 85 pounds lighter than the Harley despite having twice the power. The performance is devastating. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes 3.1 seconds. The top speed is 140 miles per hour. The Kawasaki is 45 miles per hour faster than the Harley. The Z900 RS uses modern suspension. The front forks are 41 millimeters in diameter with adjustable preload, compression, and rebound. The rear shock is fully adjustable. The suspension soaks up bumps while maintaining control. The Harley suspension is bouncy and uncontrolled. The Kawasaki uses dual front discs with 4 piston calipers and ABS. The braking is confidence-inspiring. The Harley brakes are adequate at best and scary at worst. But here's the genius of the Z900 RS. Kawasaki styled this motorcycle to look retro while using modern technology. The round headlight, the simple fuel tank, and the twin shocks mimic 70s motorcycles. But underneath, this is a cutting-edge machine. The engine uses fuel injection with ride-by-wire throttle. You select riding modes that change throttle response. The Harley uses a basic fuel injection system with no riding modes. It is all or nothing. Insurance costs destroy young Harley riders. The Harley Iron 8 8.3 is classified as a cruiser. Insurance is moderate. The Z900 RS is classified as a standard. Insurance is cheaper despite the higher performance. Insurance companies know that cruiser riders crash more often than standard bike riders. The Kawasaki saves you money on insurance while providing triple the performance. A retro standard demolishes Harley's entry-level Sportster. But Japanese manufacturers build cruisers specifically to compete with Harley. The next bike targets the Fat Bob with devastating efficiency. If you want to escape the Harley-Davidson money trap, hit that like button right now. Tell us in the comments which Japanese cruiser you would buy. Let us continue the destruction. Number 5. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R. Suzuki built the Boulevard M109R with one purpose: to destroy Harley's Fat Bob in a straight line. The Fat Bob costs $19,499. The Suzuki costs $14,749. That is a $4,750 savings. The Harley Fat Bob uses the Milwaukee 8 114 motor producing 105 horsepower and 126 foot-pounds of torque. The motorcycle weighs 699 pounds. It features inverted front forks and dual front discs. The styling is aggressive with a wide rear tire and a flat handlebar. The performance is adequate. 0 to 60 takes 4.3 seconds. The quarter mile takes 12.9 seconds. The Suzuki engine is a masterpiece of design. It uses double overhead cams with 4 valves per cylinder. This creates efficient breathing. The engine produces more power than the Harley despite similar displacement. The liquid cooling allows aggressive tuning. The pistons can run tighter clearances. The compression ratio is higher. The engine produces power everywhere. The Harley has a narrow power band. It feels strong between 3,000 and 5,000 RPM. Outside that range, the power falls off. The Suzuki pulls hard from 2,000 RPM to the 9,000 RPM redline. But the devastating advantage of the Suzuki is the fuel injection system. Suzuki uses dual throttle bodies with long-life injectors. The system is self-learning. It adapts to altitude, temperature, and fuel quality. The engine always runs perfectly. The Harley fuel injection is primitive. It does not adapt well. Riders complain about surging at low speeds. Harley released multiple software updates attempting to fix the problem. It still surges. The Suzuki includes a shaft drive, zero chain maintenance, zero chain adjustments, zero chain cleaning. The Harley uses a belt drive. The belt is reliable but costs $1,000 to replace every 30,000 miles. The Suzuki shaft drive lasts 100,000 miles with nothing more than gear oil changes. Reliability is where Suzuki crushes Harley. The M109R engine is bulletproof. Owners routinely exceed 80,000 miles without major repairs. The liquid cooling prevents overheating. The 𝐑𝐄𝐀𝐑 valve train uses hydraulic adjusters. You never adjust valves. The engine runs forever with basic oil changes. The Harley requires constant maintenance. Cam chain tensioners, compensators, clutch baskets. Every component wears and requires replacement. A Japanese power cruiser humiliates Harley's performance model. But what about Harley's classic cruisers? The next machine targets the Heritage Classic with precision engineering. Number 4. The Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Custom. The Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Custom is a traditional cruiser with a modern heart. The Harley Heritage Classic costs $20,249. The Vulcan costs $8,999. That is an $11,250 difference. You could buy 2 Kawasaki motorcycles for the price of 1 Harley. The Heritage Classic uses the Milwaukee 8 107 motor producing 92 horsepower and 110 foot-pounds of torques. The motorcycle weighs 782 pounds. It features a soft-tail frame with hidden rear shocks, leather saddlebags, and chrome accents everywhere. The styling is beautiful. The performance is mediocre. 0 to 60 takes 5.2 seconds. The handling is soft and disconnected. The brakes are adequate. The Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Custom uses a 903cc liquid-cooled V-twin, producing 50 horsepower and 59 foot-pounds of torque. Those numbers seem pathetic compared to the Harley. But the Vulcan weighs 589 pounds. That is 193 pounds lighter than the Heritage. The power-to-weight ratio is better than you expect. 0 to 60 takes 5.4 seconds. The Vulcan is only 2/10 slower than the Harley despite having half the power. But the true genius of the Vulcan 900 is the liquid-cooled engine. Kawasaki designed this motor for reliability. The engine uses double overhead cams with 4 valves per cylinder. The valve train is efficient. The combustion chambers are compact. The compression ratio is high. The engine produces more power per cubic centimeter than the Harley. The liquid cooling maintains perfect temperature. The engine never overheats. The oil never breaks down from excessive heat. The head gaskets never leak. But here is where Kawasaki wins. The Vulcan 900 engine requires valve adjustments every 26,000 miles. The procedure takes 2 hours and costs $300. The Harley requires valve adjustments every 10,000 miles. The procedure takes 4 hours and costs $800. Over 100,000 miles, you spend $2,400 on Harley valve adjustments. You spend $600 on Kawasaki valve adjustments. The savings are massive. The Vulcan 900 is bulletproof. Kawasaki built this engine platform in the 1980s. They refined it over decades. The design is proven. Owners routinely exceed 100,000 miles without engine rebuilds. The Harley Milwaukee 8 is a new design. It has known problems: cam chain tensioners, compensators, lifter failures. These issues plague Harley owners. The Kawasaki just runs. A classic Japanese cruiser destroys Harley's Heritage model while costing half the price. But Japanese manufacturers did not stop there. The next motorcycle targets Harley's touring segment with devastating technology. Number 3. The Yamaha Venture. Yamaha discontinued the Venture in 2018, but used models are everywhere. They sell for $10,000 to $15,000. A comparable Harley Road King costs $21,499 new. The price difference is staggering. The Harley Road King uses the Milwaukee 8 107, producing 92 horsepower. The motorcycle weighs 775 pounds. It features a detachable windshield, leather saddlebags, and classic styling. The engine is air-cooled. It overheats in traffic. The transmission is clunky. The handling is soft, the brakes are adequate, the technology is minimal. This is an old design that Harley keeps selling. The Yamaha Venture uses a 1,294cc liquid-cooled V4 producing 98 horsepower and 83 foot-pounds of torque. The motorcycle weighs 827 pounds. It is heavier than the Harley. But the V4 engine is revolutionary. A V4 engine uses 4 cylinders arranged in a V configuration. It produces smooth power with minimal vibration. The engine is compact and fits low in the frame. This creates a low center of gravity. The Venture handles better than the Road King despite weighing more. The V4 uses 16 valves and double overhead cams. The engine is efficient. It produces power everywhere. The Harley V-Twin is inefficient. It produces power in a narrowband. But the killer feature on the Venture is the advanced technology. It includes a CB radio, an intercom system, and a premium audio system as standard. The Road King includes none of these features. You must buy the Road King Special for $25,499 to get comparable technology. The Yamaha includes it standard for $15,000. The Venture suspension is adjustable. You press a button to adjust the rear air shock. The Road King suspension is not adjustable. You live with whatever the factory set. The Venture includes linked brakes. When you press the brake pedal, both front and rear brakes engage. This creates balanced braking. The Road King has independent brakes. You must coordinate the front and rear yourself. Reliability destroys Harley riders. The Venture V4 engine is bulletproof. It is the same engine platform Yamaha used in their Royal Star cruisers. Owners routinely exceed 150,000 miles. The engine uses hydraulic valve adjusters. You never adjust valves. The liquid cooling prevents overheating. The shaft drive is maintenance-free. A Venture owner spends $1,000 on maintenance over 100,000 miles. A Road King owner spends $8,000. A V4 touring machine crushes Harley's classic tourer. But what about Harley's modern touring bikes? The next machine targets the Street Glide with laser precision. Number 2. The Honda Valkyrie. Honda discontinued the Valkyrie in 2003, but the legacy continues. Used Valkyries sell for $6,000 to $12,000. They offer performance and reliability that shame modern Harleys, costing 3 times the price. The modern Harley Street Glide costs $27,849. It uses the Milwaukee 8 114, producing 105 horsepower. The motorcycle weighs 796 pounds. It is a capable touring bike, but it is expensive and unreliable. The Honda Valkyrie uses a 1,520cc liquid-cooled flat-six engine producing 100 horsepower and 98 foot-pounds of torque. The motorcycle weighs 683 pounds. It is 113 pounds lighter than the Street Glide. The power output is similar, but the character is completely different. The Valkyrie uses a 5-speed transmission with reverse gear. You can back up the motorcycle using engine power. The Street Glide has no reverse. You must push the 800-pound motorcycle backwards. The Valkyrie shaft drive is bulletproof. Zero maintenance for the life of the motorcycle. The Street Glide belt drive requires inspection and eventual replacement. The Valkyrie suspension is adjustable. The front forks use AIR pressure. You adjust the pressure to match the load. The rear shock is adjustable for preload. The Street Glide suspension is less adjustable. The ride quality on the Valkyrie is superior. The Valkyrie is 20 years old and still superior to modern Harleys. The flat-six engine is bulletproof. Owners routinely exceed 200,000 miles. The engine never fails. The transmission never breaks. The shaft drive never wears out. This is Honda engineering at its finest. A 20-year-old Honda destroys a modern Harley, but we have saved the best for last. The final machine is a current production motorcycle that Harley dealers despise. It refuses to break. Number 1. The Honda Shadow Phantom. We conclude with the ultimate Harley killer. The Honda Shadow Phantom costs $8,000. The comparable Harley Street Bob costs $15,999. That is a $7,999 difference. You save $8,000 by choosing the Honda. The Street Bob uses the Milwaukee 8 107, producing 92 horsepower. The motorcycle weighs 658 pounds. It is Harley's entry-level big twin. The styling is blacked out and aggressive. The performance is adequate. The reliability is questionable. The Honda Shadow Phantom uses a 745cc liquid-cooled V-twin, producing 45 horsepower and 47 foot-pounds of torque. Those numbers seem pathetic compared to the Harley, but the Shadow weighs 572 pounds. That is 86 pounds lighter than the Street Bob. The power-to-weight ratio is better than it appears. But the true genius of the Shadow Phantom is the engine design. Honda pioneered liquid-cooled cruiser engines in the 1980s. They perfected the formula over decades. The Shadow engine uses a 45-degree V-twin with an offset dual-pin crankshaft. This creates perfect primary balance, and the engine runs smooth as glass. There is no vibration. The Harley V-twin vibrates constantly. Mirrors blur, fasteners loosen. The Honda eliminates all of that. The Shadow transmission is a 5-speed unit with a hydraulic clutch. The shift action is butter smooth. The clutch is light. The Harley transmission is a 6-speed unit with a cable clutch. The clutch is heavy. The shifts are notchy. The Shadow is more pleasant to ride in traffic, but here is where Honda destroys Harley. The Shadow engine uses hydraulic valve lifters. You never adjust valves, never. The engine adjusts using oil pressure. The maintenance schedule is oil changes and tire changes. That is it. The Harley requires valve adjustments every 10,000 miles at $800 per service. Over 100,000 miles, that is $8,000 in valve adjustments alone. The Honda costs zero. The Shadow Phantom is bulletproof. Honda has been building this engine since 1983. They refined it over 40 years. The design is proven. Owners routinely exceed 150,000 miles without engine rebuilds. The shaft drive is indestructible. The liquid cooling system never fails. The fuel injection is simple and reliable. This motorcycle refuses to break. Harley dealers despise the Shadow Phantom. It is their worst nightmare. A cheap Japanese cruiser that never needs repairs. Honda owners ride past the Harley dealership service department and wave. They are not customers. They do not need repairs. They just ride. Click on the next video if you want to continue the ride. Subscribe to our channel and like this video.